Have you ever been sued over a dog that doesn't exist? No, seriously, not a metaphorical dog, not a misunderstood neighbor's pet. I'm talking about a full-blown legal case, certified letters, court summons over a dog that lives only in someone's imagination. That happened to me. And not just anyone, me, Alex Miller, a guy who makes a living as a forensic accountant, spending his days tearing apart fake financials and sniffing out corporate fraud. So you'd think if there's one person not likely to get tripped up by fiction, it's me. But then I moved into this neighborhood. Thought I was buying peace and quiet. Ended up buying a front row seat to the HOA Hunger Games. It started with an email code, bureaucratic, and signed by the Queen herself, Kara Coington, President of the HOA. Dear Mr. Miller, it has come to the attention of the board that a dog has been hardbacking from your property in violation of Bylaw 74C. I laughed at first. I mean, I don't have a dog. Never have. I live alone, unless you count the potted plant and maybe the occasional moth that sneaks in through the screen. I figured it was a mix-up, so I replied politely, explained there was no dog, offered my apologies, and assumed that was that. Oh, how wrong I was. Kara fired back almost immediately. No apology. No clarification. Just, we have multiple reports, and the matter is not considered resolved. Like she'd been waiting for me to deny it so she could level up. That was the moment I knew this wasn't about a dog. This was about power. And she had just picked a fight with someone who actually reads the fine print for fun. I gave her another chance. I sent a second message, calm and cooperative, offering to let her or any board member walk through my home anytime, just to verify. I even suggested we team up to locate the actual source of the barking. I was practically handing her a ladder to climb down from her delusion. Instead, she dropped the match. 3 days later, a formal letter arrived, certified mail, HOA letterhead, the whole deal. It stated that my denial was noted but not accepted, included a $100 fine, and referenced audio evidence of the barking. Audio evidence. What, was she recording random dog noises and blaming me? The tone wasn't concerned neighbor, it was full-blown prosecutor. It wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. It was a hit. And listen, I tried to let it go. But my brain just doesn't work like that. I see patterns. I follow trails. So I dug into the HOA's covenants, restrictions, meeting minutes, everything I could find. Pored over it for an entire weekend. And wouldn't you know it, their own bylaws required verifiable, time-stamped evidence for any fine to stick. That audio Kara was waving around like a sword. If it wasn't analyzed and sourced properly, it meant nothing. And even better, the bylaws gave me the legal right to inspect all HOA financial records and communications. Which, I'll be honest, is like waving raw meat in front of a forensic accountant. Still, I tried one more time to play it fair. I contested the fine in writing, cited the exact clause requiring evidence, and politely asked to hear the recording. They denied my appeal. No copy of the audio. No source. Just a bigger fine, now $250. And when I checked the committee that reviewed my appeal, Kara, her best friend, and some guy who once helped repaint her porch. So I went to the next board meeting, figuring I'd speak calmly, lay it out. But the moment I stood up and said my name, Kara cut me off. This isn't the forum for individual compliance issues, she said, as if I'd interrupted her State of the Union. She silenced me literally. I left that meeting burning. And not in a mildly annoyed way. No, in a you just awakened the part of me that dismantled 2 hedge funds for the DOJ way. 2 weeks later, a process server handed me a summons. The HOA was suing me in small claims court to collect the fines and force me to abate the nuisance, aka get rid of the ghost dog. I stood on my porch, laughing like a maniac, holding the papers like they were a birthday card from hell. And, of course, Kara was watching from her window. She called the cops. Said I was disturbing the peace. Officers showed up, looked at the lawsuit, and just sighed. One of them said, "Sir, as long as you're not yelling at her house, you're fine." Then he gave Kara's place a real long look before walking back to the car. That moment right there, that shift from laughing to cold clarity, that's when I knew this wasn't about me anymore. This was about stopping something bigger. So I sent a certified letter invoking my right to access 7 years of HOA records, every invoice, every budget, every contract. While I waited, I launched phase 2. See, photography is a hobby of mine. And I've got a drone high-res camera, GPS mapping, real nice piece of tech. That weekend, I used it to conduct an architectural photography project of the neighborhood. What I was really doing was building a database of every visible rule violation. Trash cans out too long. Unapproved paint colors. Commercial vehicles in driveways. And the result? Oh, man. The worst offenders were Kara and her cronies. Her fence. Wrong color. Her satellite dish. Not allowed. The treasurer's backyard. Featured a whole unauthorized deck. And the secretary parked her catering van in the driveway every night. Meanwhile, the same people find Mrs. Gable, an 80-year-old widow, for a garden gnome 2 inches too tall. Day 30 came, and 2 giant boxes of documents were dropped on my porch. The HOA had complied barely. And in those papers, I found gold. Over the years, nearly all maintenance contracts, landscaping, snow removal, pool services had been awarded to the same company, Cointon Landscape and Home Services. Owned by Darren Cointon, Kara's brother-in-law. No disclosure. No competitive bids. And their rates? 40% higher than any local competitor I called. That wasn't just favoritism. That was theft. So I hired a lawyer at Vance, semi-retired, hates bullies. We filed a countersuit, malicious prosecution, harassment, breach of fiduciary duty. And we subpoenaed Kara for a deposition. That shook the tree. Her lawyer tried to cut a deal, drop both suits. Vance just smiled. "We'll see you in court." Meanwhile, I started talking to neighbors. Listen. And everyone had a story. Basketball hoops cited. Door callers questioned. Fines over wind chimes. But no one fought back until now. I told them, hey, you might wanna attend the annual meeting. Big budget vote coming up. And show up, they did. That night, the clubhouse was packed. Kara stood at the podium, smug as ever, announcing they'd renew the $150,000 landscaping contract. I stood up. "Before we vote, I've got something to present." She tried to shut me down, but the neighbors backed me up. I plugged in my laptop, and the projector lit up. Slide after slide, drone photos, violation comparisons, the actual HOA documents. Then, the bomb. Side-by-side images of Kara's deposition statements and the evidence proving she'd lied under oath. The room went silent. Then loud. A nearby retired lawyer stood up and called for a vote of no confidence. Unanimous. Kara and her board were ousted. Right there on the spot. The new interim board voted immediately to drop their lawsuit and settle mine, covering all my legal fees and launching a full audit. The landscape contract was cancelled, and civil action against Kara and her brother-in-law began. Her empire gone. Her reputation torched. Her house for sale 6 months later. And me. I became the community's financial watchdog. Quarterly reports. Full transparency. And peace, real peace returned to the neighborhood. So now I gotta ask, what would you have done? Paid the fine? Moved away? Or fought back like I did? Drop your thoughts below. 'Cause I've got a feeling I'm not the only one who's ever been backed at by a ghost.